margin on REITs as a wealth accumulation system. So I'm so glad that I finally able to put this together. So this is quite a new system to me. As per what some of you all may know, I have a few wealth accumulation systems. So what's a wealth accumulation system? Basically, it's an investment system for me to invest regularly. Okay. And within the system, there are mechanisms for the money to actually grow at a higher rate. So margin on REITs is one of my latest addition to my wealth accumulation systems. Now I have about 6 to 7. And I must say this is one of the better performing ones. And yes, after doing for 3 years, I believe I have some results to share. And I also think that, hey, this is one system that may be beneficial to some of you. So just a quick intro, in case you are seeing me for the first time, my name is Emin. I am the MD and founder of this company called Invest Coach Private Limited. So what this company does is they have a vision of everyone make sound investment decisions. And when I say everyone, I'm actually targeting more of retail investors. So basically, I'm very focused on retail investors, and I want to provide to you all the best investment education possible in the all arrays of investment instruments, from fixed income to stocks to real estate, financial planning, so on and so forth. So these are some of my flagship programs that I currently cover: stocks, financial planning, real estate, as I mentioned just now. So standard disclaimer, please take note that I'm here on education. I'm not doing investment recommendations. So please take note now, please pay special attention to this last paragraph here, or the third paragraph here. Margin on REITs is considered as higher risk. So this is one system which I don't think is suitable for everyone. So there are certain systems, hey, you don't spend too much attention on it, you're fine. You shouldn't lose too much. But this is not one of the system. It's actually considered higher risk, as you can potentially lose more than what you have invested. I just want to be very clear here. I'm not suggesting that all of you should come for this system. It's not suitable for everyone. In the course itself, I will of course talk about how do you actually do risk mitigating measures if you decided to do margin. So again, I just want to highlight here, I'm not here trying to encourage everyone to use margin. Margin is high risk, not suitable for everyone. Okay, before I start talking about margin or REITs, I want to share a little bit of my story. How did I actually get into margin on REITs 3 years ago? So what got me into here, and what actually happened after that. So if you have actually met me 3-4 years ago, you will have seen me or heard me saying that, I'm never a fan of margin. So on the slides, what you are seeing here is this. This is actually one of my presentation slides for my stocks course. Again, what I'm trying to say, hey, don't go into margin. Margin is risky. Basically don't go into that. So I was never a fan of margin if you have spoken to me about, 3-4 years ago. So what has changed? There was one day, I still remember I have having coffee with one of my friends. And then this is what he proposed to me. He said, hey, Emin, you should check out margin on REITs. So once I heard the margin, I was actually put off. Margin? No way, nah, too risky. I don't believe in margin, don't believe in borrowing. I'm a long-term investor. I want to accumulate wealth. So this is what he put across to me. Hey, okay, fine. Don't do margin on REITs, but does it make sense to buy a property with loan and rent out to cover mortgage? So this is what he said to me. Of course, I think it makes sense. I think this is what everybody does, right? You buy a property with loan, and then what do? You actually rent out. The rental comes in. Okay, the rental will cover mortgage. Then after a long term, you would have what do you call that? You after a long term, you would have the the tenant basically pay for mortgage, and you eventually own the property. Makes sense, right? Then you enjoy capital appreciation. You actually have rental income after you pay for it. Okay, so yeah, of course, I agree with this. I mean, like I said, part of my course is also to do property investment. And yes, for property, I definitely agree with taking loan. So he actually mentioned this, hey, you are okay with taking loan to buy property. So what is wrong with taking loan to buy REITs, which technically you are also buying property? I'll put it this way. So what is the difference then between buying investment property and margin on REITs? So yeah, that sets me thinking, good point. Yeah? So frankly, that is true. Buy REITs, what am I buying when I buy REITs? I'm buying property. So if I do margin on REITs, what happens? I'm borrowing money to buy property. So that's exactly saying as I'm buying an investment property. So with that thought that came to me, I do a little bit of research, and yes, it seems that there's so much similarity between buying investment property for rental and margin on REITs. So let's go one by one. Buy investment property, are we buying property? Yes. Margin on REITs, are we buying property? Same thing. So when you buy investment property, we rent out the properties. So you buy REITs, so in fact it's rented out for you. So yes, you borrow money to buy investment property, margin you buy, yes. You enjoy capital gain, obviously REITs, you also can get capital gain, yes. You get rental income, so say margin on REITs, you get rental income. You take the rental to cover mortgage, so same thing, that's what happened to margin on REITs. And eventually you own the assets debt free. So as per what I mentioned just now, you buy investment property, okay, then you borrow money, your tenants will pay for mortgage. After that, eventually, once the loan is paid off, you actually own the property debt free. So that's exactly the same. So if you actually borrow money to buy REITs, the dividend come in, pay off the interest cost, and eventually pay off the loan, and you actually own the REITs debt free. So as you can see, yeah, that's such me. Yes, yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So if I am okay with buying an investment property, then I should be okay margin on REITs. So that actually got me started. And in fact, it wasn't a very difficult decision, because after I went to find a bit more, I found a lot more advantages of margin on REITs compared to having an investment property. So to the point, of course, as a real estate trainer, so I do real estate courses. I actually talked about buying investment properties. So obviously, I by right I should also own an investment property. But this is so interesting that instead of me having a second property, I actually put it on margin on REITs. So what are some additional plus points on margin on REITs versus investment property that even make me sway my money to margin on REITs rather than investment property? Yeah. So number one, if you actually buy investment property, that you're only buying one property, so it's like playing black or white. So you're 100% right or 100% wrong. Okay, there is no in between. So of course, if everything goes well, you choose the right property, yes, you make money. But if you choose the wrong one, that's it. Like for example, I'm not sure you actually read the recent Batam cases whereby people invest in Indonesian properties in Batam and now get into so much serious trouble. So whereas for margin on REITs, what is happening here? You're actually buying multiple properties. Okay, you're buying different properties, and a lot of them are not even in Singapore. So you are having a geographical diversified basket of properties. Okay, so of course, to which is own. You can argue that if you buy one basket, sure got some no good. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But then in terms of risk level, you're buying a basket is definitely a lot safer compared to one property. So I see that as a plus point for REITs. Number two here is this professionally managed. So this is true passive income. If let's say, for example, you go and buy your own property, you have to go and do transactions, you're going to find your own tenant, you have to go and deal with all the property issues, you have to go and pay property tax. So REITs is totally nothing. After you buy, you just wait for the dividend to come in. And I must say the dividend is not too shabby. Yeah? So basically, even without margin, I'm looking at between 5 to 8% yield. If you actually go and what do you call that? You actually go and buy a investment property. Now you're probably talking about 3-4% yield. Okay, but now I'm actually doing it at about 5 to 8%. And yeah, I have nothing to worry about. So basically the profession manage everything. No rental issue, so very similar. I don't have to go and find my tenant. When the tenancy is up, I don't have to care whether, hey, go and negotiate to continue. I don't have to worry that the tenant don't pay. Everything is actually managed. This is really true passive income. Compared to buying a second property, a lot of issues to worry about. Smaller quantum. Also, this is especially good for, if let's say a budget is an issue. Okay, so if you actually want to go and buy a second property, so even you have a second name, you're still talking about forking out easy $200,000-$300,000 at one shot. Okay, and you're talking about probably a Mickey Mouse unit now, $200,000 one shot. And of course, if you get it right, it's fine lah. Let's say a property price increase, everything do well, that's fine. But if you get it wrong, so that is $200,000-$300,000. So REITs, I'm quite sure, now if like $1,000, you can start investing in REITs. So smaller quantum, definitely a plus point for me. I can buy over different times. So one of the most difficult answer to buy property, as in physical properties, is this the right time to buy? Correct? Yeah. And you only have one bullet, one shot. So if you buy today, tomorrow price drop, too bad, you cannot do anything. So for REITs, I can actually buy in small pieces. I can buy over time. The risk is definitely lower. So again, I know some of you may say that, hey, but if you actually buy over different time, there will be time you buy high. I don't disagree. Okay, but in terms of risk, which is what I'm most concerned with, in terms of risk, is definitely less riskier if you are able to spread out your investment into different instruments at different time. And obviously, if I buy margin on REITs, no such thing as ABSD, PDSR, okay, the property tax increase, whatever, not my issue. Okay, I don't have to deal with all these issues basically. And yeah, and another very important plus point here is it's easy to buy and sell. So yes, for investment property, yeah, it's easy to buy, but sometimes selling can be tough. You can actually take easily like 6 months to 1 year, in fact, to actually sell a property. But for REITs, I can sell almost any time. I can buy almost any time. So to me, after that, it's a no-brainer. So after I really dive in to try to understand margin on REITs, yes, at first I was thinking of a second property, but after that, to me, it's quite a no-brainer. Number one, margin on REITs is very similar to buying investment property. And number two, it has all these additional plus points. Okay, of course, having said that, there are some negative points about this. So we will definitely come to that later, not to worry. But, with all this, yeah, that's why I actually jumped into margin on REITs 3 years ago. And I must say, I'm very happy with what my decision then. And today I'm actually seeing quite interesting results. And that's why I want to share more with you. And of course, yeah, something for you to consider. So my point here is this: investment is never about one type of investment and never about one best instrument. Okay, so it's actually good to understand various investment instruments and find what is the most suitable. After today's session, you can say that, okay, this is this doesn't suit you, not suitable. Sure, that's fine, but at least you have additional information. Okay, so don't always have to be so fixated or, oh, I must buy into a second property, I must do this, I must do that. No, so it's actually good to understand what are the area choices and find what is most suitable for you. Okay, so that was my journey, how I get into it. I think now I just want to explain a little bit of technicalities. What exactly is margin on REITs? What exactly is a margin account? Just in case I have friends here who are very raw to this topic. So by the way, even though you're on Facebook, I can actually monitor the comments. If you have any questions, feel free to type in the comment section. I'll be very happy to answer. I'm so glad that more people are in the house. Thank you and welcome. For those who just joined us, you didn't miss much. And again, if you could do me this favor, please click on the share button, okay, so that more people can enjoy the content that I'm about to share. Now, what exactly is this margin account? So margin on REITs, very simply put, you are borrowing money to buy REITs. Okay, of course, you can borrow money to buy some other instrument beside REITs. But again, later I'll explain why REITs, makes better sense. Also, margin-based borrowing money. So now, of course, things can change, but based on what we have now, you can do up to 3.5 times leverage. So what happened here is this: if you put in $10,000, you can buy up to $35,000 worth of REITs. So that is basically you're borrowing $250,000 to buy REITs or stock. Okay, so the current interest rate is at 2.8%. This is a floating rate; it can change, and I must say, given what happened recently, the Fed has just increased the interest rate. My take is, this may go up. So over the past 3 years, the highest it went for me was 3.5%. The lowest I think I got, if I remember correctly, was about 2.6 or 2.7. Okay, but anyway, this can change. I want to be very clear here. So this is what you do. You can start an account, then you can actually put in money, $10,000. Then you start buying. With 10,000, you can buy up to 35,000. Okay, so the good thing here is this: you can also, instead of starting with putting in money, you can also start putting stocks. Okay, you can actually start putting stocks. So that is another interesting point of margin. It doesn't mean that your first 10 that first 30% have to be money, can actually be stocks. So that's margin account. So why is it so interesting? So like I said, it's exactly same as property. You actually enjoy the leverage effect. You enjoy the leverage effect. So let's go through a numerical example here. Then it's probably clearer. So let's say, for example, you have $10,000. You do it plainly. You don't do any margin. You just spend $10,000 to buy REITs, and assuming the REITs give you 6% dividend yield. Versus you take $10,000, you go margin on REITs. So basically you borrow 25%. I'm just using 3.5% here. Okay, like I said, this is a floating rate. I just want to put quite a conservative case, 3.5%. And this is what happened. So if you actually spend $10,000 and after you buy $35,000 worth of REITs, so basically you have $35,000 worth of REITs, having a 6% dividend yield, that means your annual dividend is $2,001. Okay, your interest on your borrowing is 3.5%, and you borrowed 25,000. Okay, so basically your interest per year is 875. Your net dividend is actually 1225. So how I get 1225? I take 21,000 minus 875, 1225. So can you see the dividend yield actually increased from 6% to 12.25%. Okay, so basically, this is what we call the leverage effect. Okay, this is what we call the leverage effect. Yep, exactly same as investment property. And yeah, now I am talking about my yield. I'm talking about yield. I'm not even talking about capital gain. My yield, easily I'm looking at between 8 to 12%. So can you imagine, let's say, for example, I buy 8%, you do your own mathematics, you can actually even hit about 12 to 15%. Okay, so this is what margin on REITs does. It can actually help to give you higher yield as per what the mathematics here is showing. Okay, so I just want to show you from another perspective. So let's say, for example, you have $100,000 and you don't want to do it through margin. Okay, and over 10 years, so how much you get? So this is what happens. So let's say, for example, per unit or REITs is $1, for example, and let's assume that for the 10 years, the price don't change. So if you invest $100,000, you buy 100,000 worth of units, obviously the stock value is 100,000, and assuming that the dividend is 6%, you get 6,000 at end of year one. Okay, so let's assume that you just reinvest the dividend, 6,000, you buy another 6,000 unit, your stock value is 106 Okay, your dividend end year 26360. Okay, so and so forth. So my point here is this: assuming that you have 100,000, you just keep reinvesting your dividends. At end of 10 year, with dividends, your $100,000 would become 168,000 or almost 169,000, as you can see here. So this is without a margin scenario. Okay, straightforward, dividend reinvest, okay, and assuming that the price won't change. Now with margin, this is what happened here. You will immediately, with 100,000, you actually buy $350,000. Of course, incurring a loan of 250. Okay. Then your dividend, instead of 6,000, it becomes 21,000. Okay. You had to pay interest. Okay, this is gone. This is expense. But then you have remaining. Okay, dividend minus interest. You have amount remaining to pay off the borrowing. Can you see? So in year one, I would have paid off 12,250. Okay. So of course, the second year, my borrowing amount will be lesser. Same, I'll still get the dividend, assuming that stock price don't change, even you don't change. The interest will be lower, then I'll pay off more amount. So after 10 years, okay, after 10 years, you can see that, assuming, again, let's assume that price don't change, $1, don't change. After 10 years, my loan actually were paid off by half already. Can you see? I would have paid off my loan by half already. And assuming 10 years, price don't change, I sell away all my REITs, 350,000, pay off the loan. My return is 227,014 compared to if I were to do it without margin, it's only 168,948. Okay. And come on, realistically speaking, of course, we do expect price to increase over the next 10 years, which is happening. If you actually look at it historically for REITs, most of the REITs price have appreciated over 10 years. By doing margin on REITs, I have locked in at the current price. Okay, that's one point. And again, I just want to illustrate, this is exactly like a property. So property, what happened? If you actually go and buy a property, you borrow money. Okay, then after that, with your rental, you pay off the interest, then you pay off your debt. And after 10 years, you will have lesser debt. Okay, and of course, eventually you own that full assets. Okay, so this is the beauty of margin on REITs. So number one, what I want to say here is this. Okay, in fact, two main points. It is exactly the way it generates from an investment perspective. It works exactly like buying an investment property. Okay, that's one. And number two, if you compare without margin, okay, with margin, without margin, as you can see here, the leverage effect is actually very prominent. It can actually help, either you can see as help you build a REITs portfolio faster, or either that you can give you a higher yield. So whichever way you say it, it's about the same thing. Okay, so as in all things in life, whatever pros you get, there are cons. Whatever advantages you see, there are disadvantages. I'm not going to lie about it. Okay, yes, it is risky. I said it up front. Margin on REITs is risky. Why is it risky? You can lose more than what you invested. You put in $1, you can lose $2. Okay, that's one. Number two is you may be forced sell your stocks at a low price. Okay, so please, again, I know I'm repeating myself. I'm not here encouraging everyone to do margin on REITs. That's definitely not the main point. I just want to share there are different investment options. And if you so decided to do margin on REITs, please do all this risk management. Okay, I had my fair share of I wouldn't say heart attack, that is quite a strong word. I fair share on increase in stress level when during COVID 2020 market dropped by 30%. My heart pumped faster a bit. And recently during the Ukraine crisis, when I think earlier this month, the stock market actually corrected. So again, my stress level increased. But because of the risk management I've done, okay, I didn't get any margin call. I didn't suffer. But my point here is this: if you so decided, please go through this risk management. Now, one of the additional risk, or one of the very significant risks on top of the usual stock investing risk, is actually this thing called margin call. Okay, margin call. So just very quick overview. So before I explain margin call, you have to understand this thing called margin ratio. So what is margin ratio? You take the total stock value, divide by the borrow amount. Okay, that's called the margin ratio. Total stock value divided by borrow amount, that's margin ratio. Now, if let's say this margin ratio go lesser than 140%, okay, you will really get a physical call. That's why it's called margin call. Your remisier will actually call you physically and say, hey, hi sir, ma'am, okay, it's below, you actually need to top up. Okay, you actually need to pay down the borrow amount so that the total stock, this margin ratio will be higher than 140%. Okay, and if let's say the margin ratio go below 130%, your remisier can actually force sell for you without your permission. They can actually just sell for you without your permission. So okay, so that is margin call. Let me put in some numbers. It's probably clearer that way. So let's say, for example, you put in 100,000. Sorry, you put in 10,000. You borrow 25,000. You buy $35,000 worth of stocks or REITs for that matter. So your stock value will be 35,000. Your borrow amount will be 25,000. Okay, so your margin ratio will be 140%. Okay, 140%. Okay, so once again, you put in 10,000, you borrow 25,000, the borrow amount 25,000, total stock value 35,000, margin ratio 140%. So if let's say the price of stock dropped to 30,000, okay, can you see your stock value was 35,000, right? It dropped to 30,000. Your margin ratio will actually become 120% margin call. And of course, if you don't top up or you don't pay down the loan, okay, your remisier can sell, okay, sell your stock, sell your REITs until this ratio is more than 140%. Okay, so can you imagine when we had the big price drop during the COVID in 2020, when the market dropped by 30%. So you will see this margin ratio get lesser and lesser and lesser and lesser. Okay, and of course, earlier this month, okay, when the market, I think, eventually it corrected, but I don't know, did it hit 10%? Yeah, about 10%, I would say 10% or even lesser, maybe 8-9%. So again, you can see my margin ratio come down. Okay, also that is one of the major risks. Now, some of y'all may say, hey, in this case, there is no way I can lose more than I invested. Generally, yes. But of course, there can be cases whereby, let's say, for example, today the closing price is $1. Okay, the next day the opening price is 30 cents, for example. So you can have cases like this before. Of course, I know it's not common, okay, but I'm not going to rule out that possibility. Okay, so you know that the price when it drops, right, it doesn't it doesn't mean they have to drop consequentially. It can like close at $1, next day open at 30 cents, that kind of thing. So that is one of the main risks with this margin ratio or margin on REITs. Okay, so the main point of today's session I want to put here is this. Yes, margin on REITs is interesting. It's a very good wealth accumulator for me. And if you so decided to do it, so please have a risk management in place. I just want to share with you, really things can happen. You cannot always assume that the sun is shining on your side. You cannot always happen that things will move on nicely for you. This is exactly what happened during the COVID period, dropped by 30%. And I'm proud to say that I didn't receive any margin call, okay, because I have put in proper risk management in place. Okay, so of course, margin on REITs, just like any other investment, they have some other standard risks, financing risks. As mentioned earlier, the interest rate can change, can go up, and based on what happened recently, it will go up. It will go up. So don't kid yourself about it. It will go up. And of course, there'll be market risk. So price increase, decrease. And of course, when price decrease, the loss is magnified. Now, one of the major risks for margin on REITs is our own greed. Our own greed. So that is something you must learn how to control. Unfortunately, emotion play a very big aspect in investment. And if let's say you use your own money, you can control, you put $100,000, makes you buy is $100,000. You're able to control. But margin, you put $100,000, you can keep buying. So the greed part can be quite worrying. So you definitely need to system to actually control your greed. Okay, so again, I just want to highlight this point. It's not for everyone. You can lose more than what you invest. You may force to sell when prices are low. I just want to highlight here, as a responsible trainer, I'm not here to I'm really not here to sell this system to everybody. Okay, yes, I'm actually giving ideas, different ideas you can invest. But then again, I'm not saying that everybody should do it. Okay, these are things whereby you really want to ask yourself, are you ready for higher risk? I put a picture of a dangerous spot here. Okay, so to me, this is like the extreme spot. If you want a high, if you want to really get your adrenaline rushing, so paragliding is going to give you that kind of high. Okay, I'm glad I did it when I was there. Yes, it's fun. Okay, but then the risk is there. There are stories whereby the wind suddenly got so strong, you're blown away, so and so forth, So yeah, it's just one of those. Okay, life is very fair, high risk, high return. Is it suitable for you? You are the only one to have the answer. Now, and if you have so decided that, okay, yes, you want to embark on this, you want to find more. So please, don't save money on the wrong things. Please don't save money. Okay, this is a risky thing. Don't save money on wrong things. I just want to give you an analogy here. I actually do when I go for holidays, of course, during pre-COVID, we do self-arrange holidays. I book my own ticket, I book my own hotel, I plan my own itinerary. And one thing I will always do is actually buy this thing called Lonely Planet. Okay, maybe for the younger ones, you're not so familiar. So this is like the traveling guidebook for a lot of people in my generation, at least. And it's not cheap. You can see it's not cheap. One book like this, not very thick, about $40 over. Every time I buy, my wife will always go and say, hey, hello, all the information you can get on the internet, you just go and Google, you can get it. Why are you still buying a guidebook? How come it's still so old school? Okay, but I am so glad I make this decision. Okay, it's definitely one of the things I will not save if I ever go for traveling. Why? Number one, you don't know what you don't know. Sure, all the information are available on the web. Okay, just like investing, you go and Google margin on REITs. Yes, I'm quite sure there are a lot of people talking about it. Okay, but now we are not in a stage whereby we don't have information. Okay, we are in a stage whereby what is useful for you, and do you know how to find the information? Find the information. I'll give you a good example. This is one experience I will never forget. I actually arrived in New Zealand, Christchurch once on the Christmas day itself. Okay. And I have to go hungry from 3 p.m. onwards, all the way till the night. Okay, this is one of the very rare moments. I have to starve. I have the feeling of hunger. Okay. I have a feeling of hunger. from 3 p.m. all the way to night until the next day that I get to eat. Why? Because at Christmas Day, no zero shop open. I still remember, of course, that was some time back. I don't know about now. Zero shop open. Don't even have like a convenience store. Don't even have like a food stand, restaurant. No, zero. Okay, so these are things like I mean you wouldn't like suddenly go and Google, are there shops open during Christmas Day? Because we are so used to it, right? Where got no shop open, right? We are so used to it. You won't Google things like that. Are there shops open during Christmas Day? So that's why it's very important. At least the guidebook, they will actually sound out all these things. Then like, oh, okay, then you should be prepared for that. Then a lot of times, just one tip from the book, it can cover the cost of the price and many times more. So of course, like for example, Switzerland, as we all know, it's one of the very expensive place. A restaurant meal can cost easy $70-$80 per person, even you go for very simple ones. And also, obviously, when you go to Switzerland, you touch on Zurich, right? Then again, you touch on Zurich, you go to city center. If you just want to go by a nearby restaurant, easy $200 gone. I have a family of three, my wife and my daughter, 3 person, $200 gone. Okay, but if let's say you have this guidebook, they will tell you, okay, you walk here and there, you get cheap and good food. Easily just on that food, just on that meal alone, it really cover back this cost already. Okay, so that's my point here. If you so decided to do this margin on REITs, please don't save on the wrong things. And I'm very happy to share my journey with you. I have already went through this margin on REITs for the past 3 years. It's showing very good results, and that's why I have so decided to come and share more. I have put up a course using margin on REITs as wealth accumulation system. It's 2 evenings, total of 6 hours. And this will be what will be covered during the course itself. Setting up the margin account, how it works. Okay, there is a lot more details that I didn't have time to share today. Like for example, what does it mean by borrowing? Do you really have to sign? Do you really have to put a collateral? Okay, so you have to do you put money there or do people give you money, whatever? Okay, so there is some mechanism involved. Okay, so other things like, for example, fees, a lot of people didn't know about this. So like certain brokerage, they will require you to pay corporate action fees, like pay dividends, also have to pay fees. So sometimes interest is not the only thing to look out for. And of course, not all securities are marginable. So there are some stocks that can margin, there some cannot. Okay, so that's one. Investment strategies, that is most important. So there are different ways to mix and match to make sure that strategy makes sense for you. Like for example, one thing I'll be sharing here is this: if let's say you combine with a property upgrade, you can technically, it's possible whereby once the whole system is set up, okay, your mortgage from property is actually being covered by the dividends from margin REITs. So you can actually have different strategies, different systems to make this whole process interesting. Number 3, risk management. Risk management, you have margin call, financing risk, market risk, risk management, so on and so forth. So these are the things. Of course, we'll go in detail, and most importantly, how to manage your risk, all the different risks. Okay, obviously, we have to talk about REITs. So this is the most important here. Doesn't mean that you manage the REITs, you can anyhow buy REITs. No. So one of the key risk management is choosing the right REITs. Okay, if you buy REITs, the REITs bankrupt, the REIT lose money, that's it. Whatever risk management also no use. So in fact, down here, you must be more stringent in choosing the REITs. So obviously, we're going to spend some time to look at what are the REITs, how do we actually make sure we do a proper selection of REITs. And lastly, you would have a different hands-on exercise. Okay, this one is not just a theory, you have different hands-on exercise. You will learn how to build a margin ratio Excel table. This is very important so that you can do scenario analysis And with all this buying investment strategy, right, okay, there'll be a Excel, okay, this will be given to you, Excel spreadsheets, and then you can do scenario analysis, what if, so that you know, okay, what is your buffer. Okay, so let's say, for example, when the stock market dropped by 30%, can you still manage? No? So you have Excel spreadsheet for you to do all this scenario analysis. Okay, I do understand that, you know, after a course, then after that you on loan may still not be enough. There will be a 1 month WhatsApp support group. You will be in a support group for 1 month. You can ask me any questions. I will try to answer as fast as I can. Okay, of course, if you text me at middle of the night, I have to wait for next morning, then you reply. But it's 1 month, and I'll be happy to introduce my broker. Okay, the particular reminder that do my margin on REITs. Okay, so this is again very important. Like I said, during margin call, so a lot of time it's relationship. Are you the first to being caught or the last being caught? Okay, and like for example, for selling, do they actually prep you beforehand, so on and so forth. So it's actually good to have a good relationship. Not just know who the reminder is, have a good relationship, and I'm happy to introduce my broker to you. And of course, sometimes they actually give promotions, very interesting promotions. So yes, you will also have all these resources. Okay, lastly, I just want to thank you for attending this preview. I know it's a very short one. Yep. Oh, I only spent about 48 minutes. So it's a very short session. Hopefully today you have learned a new investment strategy. Is it suitable for you? Okay, that one I can't answer. But you know, different investment strategies, choose one for you. Hopefully I give you some idea. And to thank you for attending this preview, I'm happy to offer $100 preview discount. $100 preview discount if you scan on the QR code. Okay, if you scan on this QR code and just key in this coupon code BBV93TQC, you will actually get $100 preview discount. And for those who prefer to just click, I have already pasted the link onto the Facebook post itself. You can actually find the link on the Facebook post. So you may just want to take note of the preview discount code BBV93TQC, key in, okay, you will get the what do you call that? You will actually get $100 preview discount. So 298. Think about this, 298. If let's say all it did was to help you save you from one mistake, easily this is way covered back many times. Okay, I think I forgot to mention the date. Let me just put it here. So it's going to happen next week. It's going to be a short course next week, 24th and 25th of March. Thursday and Friday evening, 7 to 10. It's going to happen next week, 24th and 25th of March, 7 to 10 p.m. Also these 2 evenings. Okay, very short session. So that's all I have. I'll just wait for maybe 1-2 minutes to see if there is any questions. If there's no questions, yep, have a good weekend and of course enjoy the rest of the week.